Where do we go from here?
What is a listenership?
Well, is it regularly broadcast, or is Blast Furnace more like a irregularly broadcast on a as needed kind of?
Well, internet radio, it's for those who want to do it. There's a lot of software out there to do it. Make sure you don't pay for anything. Shoutcast is probably the easiest thing to do. There's a lot of other software on there now, but no, with internet radio you have to be on 24/7. If you're not on 24/7, people get very impatient and they go to the next station. And so if you announce to your emailing list or your constituency, we're going to be on between 10 and midnight on Thursday night, I mean, you will not have any type of listenership. You will have no type of input. And we could place different shows that we do on radioforall.net. But again, with the internet radio, you have to be at all cost on 24/7.
So you're broadcasting right now?
No, my friend's moving his server from one house to another in Salt Lake City. So that's another rule meant to be broken. So he's moving the server from one place to another, and he has been very generous with his work with us throughout the years as the technology changes. But now we're able to broadcast in stereo, although that's really not necessary. We're able to rip analog audio cassettes into MP3s. Because of being called a radio journalist, one day I thought, well, what I'll do is see about gathering together some journalists and going to Baghdad for the first anniversary. This is right after the war started. And I put a little thing out on the internet that said, journalistic delegation to Baghdad. And that's all there was. There was nothing else. There was that one email. And I got calls from all over the country. I got a call from Naomi Klein, and she's there. Did I miss the deadline? I said, yeah, Naomi, just stand in line. Just call me back next week. And of course that was just a point of humor, because there was no line to stand in. There was no money. There was no supporting group. There was no supporting group within Baghdad. And within a year, there was the money for us to travel over there, 8 of us, professors at universities, editors of newspapers, the editor of the Middle Eastern Journal, Naomi Klein, and we went over there for the first anniversary of Baghdad. I went over there with my $31 Radio Shack computer. I'm sorry, Radio Shack cassette tape recorder, and because of the sun and the sand, the non-moving parts digital recorders didn't work. So the kids go, what do we do now? I said, well, you could use this. And they go, what's that? I said, this. This is a cassette tape. And it was really interesting to go be in Baghdad for 8 days during the war, and some government somewhere was bombing all these buildings to scare people away from going to the protest, because the protest would have been enormous. But people were so scared to even go out into the streets because of the bombing of hotels all over Baghdad while we were there. Food was cheap, $1 gets you 30. The people would run up to us, and they would run up to us and they would say, are you crazy? And I said, what are you talking about? They go, you have no flak jacket, you have no bodyguards, you have no military escort. I said, if I had a military helmet on and a flak jacket, will you talk to me? They go, nope. And our translator taxi driver took us to Fallujah. We were there for a total of 7 minutes, and then he knows people gathering about across the street, some of Saddam's old guard and was scared that we were going to be killed. And so we're running down the highway, just really scared, and he was really scared. And I said, "Listen, I saw the same crowd you do, and I saw somebody winking at you." And this big Iraqi soldier, just the thought of somebody winking at him, he jumped straight up in the air and straight down. So we always all week long we were winking at him as the cars. We passed each other in our two cars. And a lot of content came back, and that's on the notowar.com website. NOTOWAR.com. We're going 200 miles across the desert in a taxi to go from Amman, Jordan to Baghdad, and the Marines stopped us and they told us that we couldn't come in, and we showed them a little press pass we made up at Kinko's, and he said, "Oh, geez, the media," and let us in, sort of like Obi-Wan Kenobi. These are keep moving. These are not the droids that you want. And we brought back a story that at that time was brought back by no one else, and it was very personable, talking to college students and ruined hospitals and the unions and talking to common people who were in the process, talking to the Hemingway of Iraq, and going to different writer coffee houses. They really support their writers, and all their printing presses were bombed, and so that was the biggest gathering of distro authors in the world. Looked like a mall of shopping center of different writers. People very, very supportive, and that also was true with New Orleans. When we came there right after Katrina happened, they told us we couldn't go to where the levee broke, because that was the forbidden zone where a lot of bodies are floating around, and I just think they didn't want to see people to see what had happened, and also what had happened with the was it like a railroad car or a trolley car or subway? The barge. I don't think they wanted people to see the levee.
Yeah.
And when I saw the levee, it looked like a wall that I would build in my backyard garden to reflect the sun onto my tomatoes. I mean, it didn't look like something that would hold back a mighty storm. And of course it didn't. And so when the Marines, and again, ironically, these Marines had just come from Baghdad, and literally airlifted from Baghdad to Katrina, they said that, you are not allowed in here under any circumstance, and we showed them this little toy press play card that we had made up at Kinko's, and they just said, "Oh, just have at it, buddy." And we went in, and then got some of the first news out of there. Was with Food Not Bombs, served some of the first hot meals, and later on went on to help people at the now famous new Waveland Cafe, where all the rainbow people came and fed people whose lives were devastated by where the real hurricane hit, where it really was the bullseye of a hurricane in Waveland, Mississippi. In New Orleans, their houses were messed up, or their roofs were torn on, but in Waveland, their houses were smashed to the ground and down the street. And so we have, as a radio station, really had a lot of opportunity to go places as activists that we would be barred from. And a lot of times we would actually be with people who were commercial or corporate journalists, and they would be very, very upset. They didn't feel that we were the objective media, and we would just laugh. We go, "You're right. I am not looking at this objectively, and I don't know how any human being can." And so we really, from a 233 computer chugging out different packets of MP3s throughout the internet, we were able to travel the world to